Well, good evening, this is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 17th of February, and a very warm welcome to you all. It is really great to see you all back here and joining what I can absolutely guarantee without a shadow of a doubt will be an ongoing narrative. So please go ahead, click that big red button, and that will make sure that you will never miss another video. So what's going on with Matteo Salvini? This is a very interesting development because we're seeing a few things really starting to open up in the world of finance. The first is, of course, the Yellow Vest protests, and they have realized that it is the loss of control of their central bank and basically handing it over to a Rothschild bank that has created most of the problems in France today. And so Matteo Salvini from the Northern League has figured out, and I'm sure there's a lot more people know about this. Alexis Tsipras, who was Prime Minister of Greece for a while, whilst they were going through their difficult period of bankruptcy, tried to resist bailouts and to allow the country to basically rectify the situation from within by painful but natural causes, but they could not resist the power of Germany and were forced to take a bailout in the end. But Italy is a different country. Italy is one of the founding members of the EU, and Italy is a large enough economy that it can create a tidal wave through Europe and affect Germany and France alike. So what is it that they've realized? They've realized that the central banks are destroying not only individual countries but the entire world through the financial system, through this crazy system of fractional reserve that essentially is designed to create wealth for the banks and leave everybody else impoverished. And I'm going to link below the Corbett Report did an excellent documentary called 100 Years of Enslavement, the history of the Federal Reserve in the United States of America, and that will explain just how insidious and how controlling this entity is. So for Matteo Salvini to say that he wants to shut down the central bank in Italy and throw everybody in jail who is responsible for the financial crisis is an incredibly bold move. And it happens at a time when, as I say, Italy is not a small player in this, and they can't just push Italy around like they did Greece or Spain or Portugal. The other thing that he's doing within the financial institution is securing Italy's gold and reminding the bank that it belongs to the people, not to the bank. Again, this is huge. As inflation grows and as this debt situation in the world gets out of hand, gold is going to see an increasingly important role as a backstop. Okay, and Bitcoin is going to shine. I can absolutely assure you that Bitcoin, Ethereum and Litecoin are going to play a huge role in this. But anyways, I don't want to get too far away from the subject. So Matteo Salvini is putting the banks back in their cupboard, and also they are moving against Article 11 and Article 13. Now this is the bill which is basically trying to control the internet. Okay, it's basically a draconian copyright bill, which would basically stop anybody who's doing exactly as I am doing, searching the internet, looking for news, and reproducing it in my own videos for your edification. Now I would either have to pay a huge fee to a holding company that controls all of that, or all of my videos that did that would be shut down because of copyright infraction. And of course they're doing this because they want to shut down people's voices like mine. This is the whole plan, is that they will be in charge. It'll only be the large institutions, the large media groups that will be able to afford to filter all of their content for copyright. People like you and I, regular everyday folk who are just sharing information with each other and using the newspaper articles and written articles that I'm finding to bolster my argument for what I see going on out there, and so that we can't share information together. And of course they regain control of the narrative again because they control all of the media. That's how the banking system works in many ways, to control things that happen on the ground. They can decide where the money goes and where it doesn't go. And this again is decided at the Bank of International Settlements, which generates all kinds of think tanks, group thinks, and general banking policies that all central banks filter out to all of the regional banks. So they have a set policy of how and where and when they are going to lend money. Okay, so let's take a quick run through these articles that I found, and then we'll come back and I'll do a quick wrap up. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. SOT. Prison time for fraudsters. Salvini calls for elimination of Italy's central bank. On Friday, in a moment of predictive insight, Bank of America correctly warned that the greatest threat to the EPS, or the markets, in the next 3 years is an acceleration of global populism via taxation, regulation and government intervention. Just 1 day later, this warning to the financial establishment was starkly manifest in that ground zero for Europe's populist revolt, Italy, where the country's coalition government hinted at where the global populist wave is headed next when he slammed the country's central bank leadership and the stock market regulator, escalating its attack on establishment figures ahead of the European parliamentary vote in May. Matteo Salvini, the outspoken head of the anti-immigration League Party, said Bank of Italy and the Consob, the country's stock market regulator, should be reduced to zero. More than charging one or two people, reduced to zero. In other words, eliminated, and that fraudsters who inflicted losses on the Italian savers should end up in prison for a long, long time. This from the Silver Doctor. Salvini proposes seizing control of Italy's gold reserves from the central bank. Italy's populist de facto leader, Matteo Salvini, seems set on shaking Europe's financial establishment to the core. Salvini prompted fresh, shocked gasps in Brussels and Frankfurt when he raised the possibility of seizing Italy's massive gold reserve away from the country's central bank. The gold is the property of the Italian people, not anyone else, Salvini said in comments to reporters on Monday, according to the Financial Times. The controversial comments, which were seen as threatening the independence of the Italian central bank, whose one-time head was none other than Mario Draghi, prompted Giovanni Tria, Italy's economy minister, to defend the independence of the central bank. Earlier in the day, Italy's populace called on lawmakers to pass legislation stating that its gold holdings belonged to the state. And this is what they always do, is they try and say that the central bank should be independent and away from the control of the government. And this is just absolutely backward. This is our money that is being spent here, okay? We should have control over that through being able to elect or unelect prime ministers and ministers. Italy approves state bailout for world's oldest bank. Now this is back in 2016, but this bank is still in an awful lot of trouble. Italy's government approved a state bailout for Monte dei Paschi di Siena on Friday after the world's oldest bank failed to secure backing from private investors. Now this is really good. This is tech dirt. Italy tells rest of EU to drop Articles 11 and 13 from the Copyright Directive. Italy, which under its previous government had been supporters of Articles 11 and 13 in the EU Copyright Directive, has now made a pretty clear statement that if the country is going to support the latest directive, it needs to protect the users of the web, and the only way to do that is to remove Articles 11 and 13. The priority for Italy is the elimination of the link tax and direct or indirect filters on the content uploaded by the users of the platforms, together with an extension of the exceptions to the copyright, allowing the development of the data economy. Under these conditions, Italy is ready to adhere to a proposal that should come from the Romanian presidency. We are calling for change at the European level, concludes the Minister, of the famous Articles 11 and Article 13 of the directive. The network must be kept free and neutral because it is a fundamental infrastructure for the free expression of citizens, as well as for the Italian system and for the European Union itself. That's a pretty clear and direct statement. Italy is not looking for yet another round of negotiations on this. It thinks that a link tax and mandatory upload filters are clearly bad for the public, good for them. Of course, getting other countries to agree with them would help. Okay, so this is absolutely brilliant. I hope other countries do agree with them, and I'm sure that the populist countries will agree, because all of this is designed to shut down any alternative narrative that the globalists do not like. So I think that we have really reached an incredible turning point. We now have a central country in Europe that has recognized the role of the central banking system. And this, of course, is a monkey see, monkey do situation. Other countries are going to see the stand that Italy has taken, and they're going to see that it's successful, and that Italy, once it regains control of its financial situation, will be in a much better position than it was before. And I can see Italy going for an exit just like Brexit. I think Italy and the people of Italy are just absolutely sick and tired of the way they're being treated. And trust me, once that goes, once Italy goes, if you think Brexit was an earthquake, the Italexit, or however we're going to name that, will send an absolute shudder. It will be the final death knell. Europe would not be able to survive Italy leaving the EU. And of course, once Italy's left, all the other countries, they are just going to fall back into their own individual countries, and we'll work it out from there. And as I say, I hope that they maintain a friendly relationship where you can have the free movement of people from participating countries from one country to another. So anyway, I'll keep you posted on this as it moves along. I am going to be absolutely fascinated to see how this all turns out. It's very, very interesting indeed. This is a momentous time in our history, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you'll continue to join me on this adventure as we reshape the world into a new paradigm. Okay, in the meanwhile, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and comment below, and we'll talk to you real soon. You take care now. See ya. Bye.